Distinguished delegates, agenda item 3 of the 9th session of the Committee on Disaster Risk Reduction will commence shortly. May I request everyone to please take their seats. Distinguished delegates, agenda item 3 of the 9th session of the Committee on Disaster Risk Reduction will commence in just about 1 minute. So may I please kindly request you to take your seats as we are about to begin. Thank you.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, we shall now take up agenda item 3, building disaster risk reduction capacity and resilience through innovations in science and technology for the regional implementation of the Secretary General's call to action on extreme heat and the Executive Action Plan on early warnings for all, 2023 to 2027. The document pertaining to this agenda item is ESCAP/CDR 9/3 on building disaster risk reduction capacity and resilience through innovations in science and technology. The committee's consideration of this agenda item will begin with a statement from the Secretariat with a summary of the activities carried out by ESCAP in support of the achievement of the regional implementation of the Secretary General's call to action on extreme heat and Executive Action Plan on early warnings for all, 2023 to 2027. Then the floor will be opened for interventions. The Secretary, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chair, and a good morning to all excellencies and distinguished delegates. The sun's rays strike the earth without regard for national borders. And so this agenda item addresses how innovations in science and technology can accelerate the regional implementation of multi-hazard early warning systems. And we take a multi-hazard approach which covers a very wide range of possible disasters, those linked to geophysical aspects such as tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanoes, to the climate-related disasters involving more and more the water-related disasters and its corollary, which is drought, desertification, sand and dust storms. So as we presented yesterday, the Asia-Pacific Disaster Report 2025, which covers, the entire gamut of the multi-hazard spectrum, found that countries with less comprehensive early warning coverage experience far higher disaster mortality. And notwithstanding this evidence that we have, we estimate that around 1/3 of the global population still lacks any protection. We also found that at the regional level, the 4 pillars of early warning, namely risk knowledge, detection, observation, monitoring, analysis, and forecasting, and thirdly, warning, dissemination, and communication, and fourthly, preparedness and response, are progressing unevenly. So current disparities in localized risk information, in slow onset hazard forecasting, in last mile dissemination, and in local preparedness all show a need for developing more integrated early warnings, particularly in the communities that find themselves at the so-called last mile of the early warning chain. There is also a need for more targeted capacity building, particularly at the community level, and given the rapid rise of heat extremes across the entire region. So we call on a more integrated heat explicitness across all 4 the early warning pillars. Additionally, technological advances are shifting practice from reactive response to anticipatory action. We are witnessing how shared observation systems, numerical models, and regional cooperation, in particular through the ESCAP WMO Typhoon Committee and the WMO ESCAP panel on tropical cyclones, is enabling higher precision forecasts that have supported mass evacuations and that have reduced losses, both in terms of human losses in human life as well as economic losses. ESCAP's regional programs, developed with expertise from our members and associate members, demonstrate how shared assets can lower costs and raise coverage. Notably, our risk and resilience portal uses open AI tools to analyze satellite-derived geospatial data for the development of hazard scenarios with exposure and vulnerability data, helping planners to identify the future risk hotspots and prioritize investments. So the guidance that we seek from the committee, we propose as a threefold guidance. One is to strengthen the regional strategy to achieve early warnings for all by 2027, with science and technology opportunities and solutions at the core. Second is to integrate extreme heat across all multi-hazard systems. And thirdly, it's to reinforce regional platforms and financing mechanisms, including ESCAP's multi-donor trust fund, as well as the digital knowledge platforms to scale up user-centric interoperable solutions across the region. And we have a draft decision, Chair, which we will consider, we will present for further consideration after the deliberations under this agenda item conclude. So in sum, the region has the tools and it has the partnerships to move from warning access to warning action. We have it within our means to save lives today while building resilience for a hotter, higher disaster risk tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretariat, for the information. We shall now proceed to country statements for agenda item 3. I would like to urge all the speakers to adhere to the time limit of 3 minutes to ensure we can hear from all those participating. I also would like to remind delegations that in case of longer statements, you may provide this Secretariat with full statements for sharing through the committee website. I now open the floor for country statements. And the first speaker is Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, distinguished delegates, Sri Lanka commends the Secretariat for the analytical note under Agenda Item 3. The paper clearly reaffirms that science, technology, and innovation are indispensable for advancing the Secretary General's call to action on extreme heat and the Early Warnings for All initiative, as well as our collective frameworks, the Sendai Framework, Paris Agreement, and the 2030 Agenda. They all stress that risk governance must be grounded in science and data. The Secretariat's analysis highlights critical gaps that require urgent attention: improved climate analytics, stronger hazard modeling, better data governance, and interoperable information systems, especially in the face of rising heat-related risks. Sri Lanka has been strengthening its national DRR systems in this direction. Through the Climate Resilience Improvement Project supported by the World Bank, we have advanced basin-level hydrological modeling, flood and drought analytics, and hydrometeorological observation networks, forming the foundational data and institutional backbone for progressively integrating advanced scientific and digital tools into early warning operations. ESCAP's SAT-GPT training has provided early exposure to innovative satellite-based analytics, while digital initiatives in agriculture, water management, and environmental monitoring are improving the integration of risk information into operational workflows. Collectively, these measures represent a transition toward a more data-rich, technologically enabled DRR ecosystem. In this context, Mr. Chairman, Sri Lanka strongly supports the full set of priorities reflected in the draft decision and specifically endorses the following. strengthened regional and sub-regional cooperation to enhance science-based multi-hazard early warning systems, improved data systems, modeling capacity and risk knowledge, including through platforms such as the Risk and Resilience Portal, expanded use of space-based solutions through ESCAP to support hazard monitoring, forecasting, and heat risk analytics, targeted capacity building and technical assistance for national early warning agencies, and mobilization of financial resources, including through the ESCAP Multi-Donor Trust Fund to accelerate early warnings for all implementation. Mr. Chairman, Sri Lanka remains firmly committed to advancing science-driven, technologically robust, and socially inclusive approaches to strengthening early warning and resilience across our region. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Sri Lanka. And the next speaker is Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan, you have the floor.
Уважаемый председатель, дамы и господа, хочу выразить благодарность организаторам за возможность представить опыт Азербайджанской Республики в усилении устойчивого изменения климата, в том числе к последствиям глобального потепления, и пожелать вам, участники, успешной и продуктивной сессии. Изменение климата для этого одной из самых серьезных проблем, которые столкнулись в 21 веке. Каждую страну, независимо от его уровня, в глобальном масштабе мы наблюдаем усиление таких явлений, как аномальные осадки и наводнения, засухи и лесные пожары, экстремальная жара, ураганы, опасная и прибрежная эрозия. Климатические риски особенно значительны для Азербайджана. Наводнение бассейна рек Кура и Арас, штормы на побережье Каспийского моря, опасных горных районов, тепловые волны и засуха в равнинах, а также лесные и ландшафтные пожары. Все это явное проявление изменения климата. Так были приняты системные решения в водном секторе, которые уязвим засухам, наводнением и опаздыванием. В 2024 году утверждена национальная стратегия по эффективному использованию водных ресурсов и ее план действий на 2024-2027 годы. Эта стратегия переводит водную стратегию на современные принципы. Бассейновый подход, снижение потерь, цифровой мониторинг и подготовка инфраструктуры к экстремальным климатическим событиям. Усиление климатических услуг и система раннего предупреждения в Азербайджане при поддержке Зеленого климатического фонда и реализация программы ООН по окружающей среде. Стартовал проект по модернизации гидрометеорологической службы и создание многорисковой системы раннего предупреждения. В рамках инициативы Генеральный секретарь ООН «Раннее предупреждение для всех» наша цель обеспечить полный охват населения системы раннего предупреждения к 2027 году. Кроме того, закон об использовании возобновляемых источников энергии для производства электроэнергии определил правовые и экономические механизмы поддержки возобновляемых источников энергии. В результате в 2023 году введена в эксплуатацию солнечная электростанция мощностью 230 мегаватт, а также результат проект ветровой электрической мощности 20-40 мегаватт. Также мы связываем климатическую устойчивость с восстановлением освобожденных территорий и их участия в развитии. Так, в рамках первой государственной программы по великому возвращению на освобождение от оккупации территории Азербайджанской Республики. Создается зона зеленой энергии. Уважаемые участники сессии, во время проведения конференции ООН по изменению климата КОП-29 в Баку Азербайджан внес важный вклад в согласование ключевых результатов, к именно к ним относится Бачинская дорожная карта по адаптации и решения, связано со статьей 6 Парижского соглашения. Я уверен, что этот шаг укрепляет глобальную адаптацию, создает прогнозы.
May I request the distinguished delegate of Azerbaijan to please conclude your statement?
Мобилизация. Благодарю за внимание.
Thank you, Azerbaijan. And with this, may I request the next speaker, but before I actually hand over the floor to the next speaker, I would like to remind all the delegates to please limit your statement to 3 minutes. And the next speaker is Bhutan. Bhutan, you have the floor.
Good morning, Honorable Chair, Excellencies, and distinguished delegates. Bhutan commends the ESCAP Secretariat for its comprehensive work on strengthening resilience to extreme heat and nature hazards through science, technology, and innovation. We strongly support the global ambitions of achieving universal multi-hazard early warning coverage by 2027 under the Early Warning for All initiative. These ambitions resonate deeply in Bhutan, where flash floods, landslides, glacial lake outburst floods, and rising temperatures increasingly threatens lives, livelihoods, and infrastructure. For Bhutan, early warning systems are essential for safeguarding communities and sustainable development. Bhutan is already experiencing the impacts of climate extremes, from rising temperature to retreating glaciers and a higher prevalence of hazards in our mountainous terrain. These challenges affect farmers, herders, students, and families every day, particularly in remote regions. Despite so many ongoing efforts, significant gap still remains. Turning observations into action is still constrained by dispersed data across agencies, limited connectivity in remote areas, and growing demands for technical skills in AI, GIS, modeling, and system maintenance. Persistent financials and infrastructure gaps also influence both the speed and reliability of early warnings, shaping how effectively we anticipate, prepare for, and respond to hazard. Bhutan has laid important foundation to address these risks. The multi-hazard risk decision support systems integrate risk information and early warning for floods, landslides, earthquakes, and heatwave events. The SmartMed program modernizes hydrometeorological services, while the agro-meteorological decision support system provides localized advisories to farmers and herders. Drones, sensors, and time-lapse cameras support glaciers and cloud monitoring, and operational coordination has become more agile through real-time communication tools. This initiative reflects Bhutan's commitment to practical and context-specific solutions. However, to meet the scale and pace of emerging risks, Bhutan will need to deepen and expand these efforts. Our mountainous geography requires enhanced high-altitude monitoring technologies, sustained investment in data integrations and digital infrastructure, improved last-mile connectivity, and strengthened technical capacity for modeling, forecasting, and interpreting complex climate signals. We also see strong potentials in integrating traditional knowledge with digital systems to ensure that local experiences and scientific insights reinforce one another. Regional collaboration remains indispensable. The Bhutan Risks and Resilience Portal, supported by ESCAP, has improved data sharing and planning, and we see scope to further strengthen regional platforms for hazard modeling, early warning disseminations, and capacity development. Bhutan welcomes continued technical cooperations, data partnerships, and support for building the specialized skills required to maintain increasingly sophisticated early warning systems. Looking ahead, Bhutan aims to ensure that even our most remote communities receive timely, actionable information tailored to their needs. We will continue expanding mountain-specific monitoring, enhancing interoperability across agencies, and investing in people-centered approaches that ensures women, older persons, and persons with disabilities are fully included in preparedness and response systems. Mr. Chair, Bhutan supports the draft decisions for the community and remains committed to the sharing experiences, lessons learned, and good practices through regional mechanisms, including the Risks and Resilience Portal and the Regional Space Application Program for Sustainable Development. We look forward to strengthening partnerships that help translate scientific advances into operational capacity, community resilience, and timely early action across all hazard types. Through sustained collaboration and shared innovation, Bhutan joins member states in striving towards a safer, climate-resilient Asia-Pacific region. Thank you, and Tashdile.
Thank you, Bhutan. The next speaker is China. China, you have the floor.
尊敬的主席先生、各国代表，全球气候变化背景下，海洋灾害多发频发，海平面上升、海洋酸化等问题日益凸显，给沿海国家和地区带来严峻挑战。中国作为海洋大国，始终高度重视海洋预警监测与防灾减灾工作，推动韧性海洋建设取得了一系列务实成效。 在海洋灾害预警与风险防控方面，中国着力开展海洋预报技术创新，研发完成马祖系列全要素数字预报模式，建成全国海洋智能网格预报体系，实现精细化预报服务。通过完善灾害风险普查与评估机制，摸清11个沿海省份5类灾害风险底数。近10年来，海洋灾害直接经济损失和死亡失踪人数较上一个10年分别下降62%和85%。同时，我们积极拓展全球服务能力，建成联合国教科文组织、政府间海洋学委员会、南中国海区域海啸预警中心。在应对气候变化与生态保护领域，中国有序推进海洋蓝色碳汇工作，建立红树林、滨海盐沼等蓝碳生态系统调查监测体系，完善相关标准规范，持续开展海平面变化监测评估，构建国家、区域、省级科学评估体系，为海岸带安全防护提供科学支撑。通过实施35个海岸带保护修复工程项目，投入中央资金57亿元，构建生态与工程结合的综合防护体系。在海洋生态预警监测方面，中国强化顶层设计，完善法律法规与标准体系，构建覆盖管辖海域、辐射极地深海的业务化监测网络，开展典型生态系统普查与预警监测，实现珊瑚礁白化等生态风险的业务化预警。近岸海域生态状况总体稳定，局部改善，建立海洋生态灾害应对机制，有效防控赤潮、虎台、绿潮等灾害，妥善处理海上突发事件。面向未来，中国将继续落实适应气候变化战略，持续提升海洋灾害预报精度与准确度和服务效能，深化生态保护修复与减灾协同增效，完善海洋生态预警监测业务体系。中国愿与亚太经合会各成员国一道，深化技术交流、数据共享和能力建设合作，共同提升全球海洋灾害应对能力，为构建海洋命运共同体、实现人与自然和谐共生做出更大的贡献。谢谢。
Thank you, China. And next speaker is India. India, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In recent years, India, like many other parts of the region, has experienced an increase in frequency, duration, and spatial extent of heat waves. This has prompted us to take proactive measures, including enhanced early warning systems, integrated with advanced decision support systems, strengthened intersectoral coordination, and impact-based forecasting. The India Meteorological Department now utilizes an impact-based forecast matrix for heatwave forecasting, which integrates multiple meteorological parameters to assess the intensity and potential impacts of the heat waves. This matrix supports decisions regarding heat warnings and advisories with focus on human health. INCOIS provides marine heatwave advisories for ecosystem health. Heat action plans are jointly implemented by various agencies at national as well as sub-national levels and integrates meteorological forecasts with health, labor, urban management, etc. Sector-specific heat information is disseminated on health, agriculture, livestock, labor, transport, power, and tourism stakeholders. High-resolution dynamic prediction models coupled with satellite and GIS-based socioeconomic data are used to generate localized forecasts. Further, to strengthen resilience to heat hazards, India prioritizes the following: development of impact-based early warning systems and nowcasting services tailored to vulnerable populations. Strengthening community outreach through multilingual communication and digital dissemination platforms. Integration of heat risk information into city planning, public health, agriculture, and occupational safety practices. integrating land and marine heatwave risk assessments, continuous capacity building, and research on linkages between climate variability, urbanization, and heat exposure. We recognize that extreme heat is both a humanitarian and a development concern, and collective efforts are crucial for safeguarding our societies. India remains committed to strengthen regional cooperation, including through ESCAP and WMO mechanisms, to advance early warning dissemination, developing climate risk analysis, and promote knowledge exchange. I thank you.
Thank you, India. And the next speaker is Indonesia. Indonesia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, Indonesia values the discussion under Agenda Item 3 to protect over 280 million people across 70,000 islands through science, technology, and innovation. We face a multi-hazard landscape, including floods, landslides, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, and climate-related risks like rising heat in some cities. This has shown us the importance of locally tailored early warning systems, which are meaningful for our communities on the front line of risk. Our efforts are supported by a strong legal and institutional framework. The disaster management law mandates a comprehensive disaster risk reduction system, while another law assigns our National Meteorology Agency as the core provider of hazard monitoring and warnings. Although Indonesia doesn't yet have a specific definition on extreme heat, we define extreme weather as abnormal phenomenon that threaten lives and assets, with temperature anomalies serving as an indicator for heightened vigilance and the need for early warnings. This framework has shown progress, but challenges remain, such as limited local capacity and the need for subnational governments to operationalize risk information. While community-based initiatives have improved preparedness, reaching remote areas, bridging digital divides, and ensuring accessible alerts require continued effort. Indonesia is addressing these issues by investing in innovation and implementation. Indonesia's national agencies in the field of meteorology, disaster management, as well as research and innovation, form the science and technology backbone of our Early Warnings for All initiative. Our INA risk platform consolidates multi-hazard risk maps and is linked to early warning chains, while the Desa Tangguh Bencana, or Disaster Resilience Village program, builds local disaster response capacity. Guided by the Bali Agenda for Resilience and Sustainable Resilience Vision, we held the Asia Disaster Expo and Conference in 2025, bringing together government, private sector, and civil society around science and technology-based resilience, and developing a three-tier city-level early warning system. Additionally, under ESCAP, we collaborate with China, the Philippines, and Thailand on SAT-GPT, an AI-powered tool to map inundation hotspots. Looking ahead, we support regional cooperation to refine extreme heat methodologies, enhance regional and national platform interoperability, and prioritize capacity building and technology transfer for local communities. Indonesia stands ready to continue sharing experience and working with partners to make early warnings in Asia and the Pacific meaningful, inclusive, and life-saving by 2027. Thank you.
Thank you, Indonesia. And the Republic of Korea is the next speaker. Republic of Korea, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the Republic of Korea is honored to deliver this statement today about response efforts against heat wave in the region. Heat waves are rapidly emerging as one of the most serious natural hazards affecting our country. Among those most vulnerable are elderly farmers who work long hours in open fields under extreme temperatures. Rural communities experience a high number of heat-related illnesses every summer, and this has tragically led to loss of life. To address this challenge, our government has introduced an innovative drone-based monitoring initiative to safeguard elderly agricultural workers. The drones conduct aerial surveillance over large farmland areas and identify individuals who may be showing early signs of heat stress. When such cases are detected, drone surveillance teams encourage people to take immediate rest or move to a nearby cooling shelter. However, it also presents challenges, including limitations in trained operators and national regulations related to unmanned aerial vehicles. As another measure, the Republic of Korea is implementing a pilot program using smart monitoring devices for socially vulnerable populations. These wearable devices monitor factors including heart rate and skin temperature. If abnormal signals are detected, the user receives an alert, and when the system's algorithm assesses a high level of danger, it automatically notifies a pre-designated caregiver group to take action. While this measure offers this kind of benefits, the system is ineffective if users are not wearing the device, and scaling up nationwide monitoring would require substantial financial resources and operational support. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the Republic of Korea is committed to working with ESCAP and all member states to build more resilient communities in the face of extreme heat. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Republic of Korea. And we have Kyrgyzstan as the next speaker. Kyrgyzstan, you have the next floor.
Уважаемый господин председатель, уважаемые коллеги, от имени Кыргызской Республики выражаем признательность секретариату ESCAP за организацию данной сессии и предоставленную возможность участвовать в обсуждениях, а также делиться опытом и взглядами по актуальным вопросам управления рисками бедствий. Уважаемые коллеги, Кыргызстан, как и многие государства мира, сталкивается с возрастающими рисками стихийных бедствий, которые усиливаются под воздействием изменения климата. Оползни, лавины, паводки, селевые потоки землетрясения ежегодно создают серьезную угрозу для жизни и здоровья людей, а также наносят ущерб инфраструктуре и экономике страны. Эти процессы становятся все более частыми и непредсказуемыми, что требует комплексного подхода к оценке и управлению рисками. Будучи горным государством с разнообразными климатическими зонами и сложным рельефом, Кыргызская республика находится в зоне повышенной природной уязвимости. В таких условиях чрезвычайно важна постоянная готовность к действиям при чрезвычайных ситуациях и развитие систем раннего предупреждения. Мы убеждены, что именно эффективное управление рисками, основанное на современных методах оценки угроз и оперативного реагирования, является ключевым фактором обеспечения безопасности населения и защиты социально-экономического развития страны. Уважаемые коллеги, Кыргызская республика является активным приверженцем внедрения инновационных технологий и передовых подходов в области снижения рисков стихийных бедствий. В частности, мы уделяем приоритетное внимание борьбе с засухами, которые оказывают значительное влияние на нашу экономику, особенно на сельскохозяйственный сектор. Мы осознаем, что эффективное управление рисками стихийных бедствий требует интеграции современных информационных технологий, комплексного мониторинга и научно обоснованных методов прогнозирования и реагирования. Внедрение инновационной системы мониторинга стихийных бедствий является приоритетом для нашей страны, направленным на защиту населения, обеспечение устойчивого развития и повышение национальной устойчивости к климатическим рискам. В этой связи мы хотели бы предложить рассмотреть возможность оказания поддержки со стороны ESCAP и партнеров в разработке специализированной информационной системы по мониторингу засух, адаптированной к специфическим условиям нашей страны. Такая система должна включать необходимую инфраструктуру для сбора, обработки и анализа данных, основанную на передовых методах дистанционного зондирования и геопространственного анализа. Уважаемые коллеги, мы высоко ценим существующее сотрудничество с ESCAP, включая проекты по мониторингу климатических рисков в Центральной Азии. Для обеспечения максимальной эффективности будущей системы мониторинга засух Кыргызская республика просит рассмотреть возможность усиления институционального потенциала. А именно мы заинтересованы в организации серии целевых тренингов для национальных специалистов по работе с новой системой и интерпретацией данных, разработке методических рекомендаций по использованию данной системы в качестве практического инструмента для планирования и принятия решений на национальном и местном уровнях. Уверены, что реализация этих инициатив будет способствовать значительному повышению нашей национальной устойчивости к климатическим рискам. Уважаемые коллеги, Кыргызская республика открыта к международному сотрудничеству и обмену опытом в сфере снижения рисков бедствий. Мы готовы к совместной реализации инициатив, которые укрепят устойчивость наших стран перед нарастающими климатическими вызовами. Уверены, что дальнейшее развитие партнерства в рамках ESCAP будет способствовать укреплению региональной безопасности и устойчивому развитию. Благодарю за внимание.
Thank you, Kyrgyzstan. And Lao PDR is the next speaker. Lao PDR, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Se, Excellency, distinguished delegate. At the outset, Lao people democratic expressed its appreciation to ESCAP for convening this important section and for its continued support in advancing regional cooperation on disaster risk reduction. Lao PDR is high exposed to flood, drought, storm, and landslide, and increasingly erratic rainfall intensified hazard from 2000 and 2025 disaster affected over 6 million people. Lao PDR reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening disaster risk reduction and management through innovation and regional partnership. We are leveraging technology to reduce risk most notably through cooperation with ESCAP on disaster risk and resilience portal, which is the enhancing data sharing, risk profile, and evidence-based decision-making across sector and province. Under the leadership of the Ministry of Labor and Social Welfare, we have jointly organized capacity development workshop with ESCAP focusing on geospatial analysis and early warning system. Their training has strengthened the technical capacity of national and local authorities and anticipate, prepare for, and respond to disaster. Timely, inclusive, and impact-based early warning safe life. Lao PDR has adopted a national early warning roadmap 2024 and 2027 and established interministerial coordination group called Early Warning for All Technical Working Group to coordinate it and cooperation for the implementation of the roadmap. To raise 25% of the estimate 28 million USA required to implement Lao PDR early warning roadmap has been mobilized. A significant finance gap remains. We therefore call on ESCAP, United Nations Agency, and develop partner to join hands with the government of the Lao people to transform our growth to the protect river person through an inclusive end-to-end early warning system into reality. In the past decades, Lao PDR has significantly improved weather forecasting and early warning system, infrastructure, and capacity, which had issued into improved forecasting and early warning system in across the country. In Lao PDR, we are standardizing this statistics getting risk informed, strengthening Lao PDR disaster informed system Laudi into form planning at national and province level. Hydrological capacity being expanded through new observing station, river disaster survey, and forecasting, running impact-based forecasting pilot are underway to translate hazard into anticipate impact. We are scaling in multi-channel SMS radio and community loudspeaker and working toward the adoption of the common practice ensure accessible message list last mile community include ethnic minority, children, and persons with disability. Contingent being updated with the anticipatory action element and equal being organization to cover warning into timely early action. We are adopting interagency community framework on disaster preparedness and response. Lao PDR requires ESCAP support accelerate resilience by providing travel training for province and sector officials strengthening community-based disseminating and last-mile connectivity, enhancing regional data sharing on transboundary hazard scaling, the leak and resilient portal, national win and developing practical guidance and mainstreaming gender and disability in DRR for the truly accessible early warning and response. Thank you.
Thank you, Lau PDR. We have Nepal as the next speaker. Nepal, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. Nepal appreciates the ESCAP Secretariat for the insightful document on using science and technology to build disaster risk reduction capacity in Asia and the Pacific. The report clearly shows that early warning systems save lives and reduce losses. It states that countries with weaker early warning coverage have a mortality rate nearly 6 times higher than those with stronger systems. This message is important for all of us, especially for disaster vulnerable countries like Nepal. Nepal is a multi-hazard country. We face earthquakes, floods, landslides, droughts, glacial lake outbursts, wildfires, and growing heat stress. Climate change is making these hazards more frequent and more damaging. Many disasters happen in remote, mountainous areas where communications is weak. For Nepal, the innovations in science and technology are not optional. They are essential for saving lives and protecting development gains. Nepal has made progress. We have expanded flood early warnings along major river basins. We are using satellite data, although they are limited, to monitor glacial lakes. We have introduced mobile alerts for some hazards. Local governments have prepared disaster response plan and been acting accordingly. However, major gaps remain. Mountain communities still lack last light communication. Heat warnings are limited. Many areas have weak forecasting capacity. Technology alone cannot help unless people can receive, understand, and act on the warning. Nepal supports ESCAP's emphasis on combining science with human-centered approaches. The report notes that early warning must include local language, accessible formats, disability-friendly communications, and community outreach. Trust and behavior matter as much as technology. We strongly agree with this approach. We welcome ESCAP's work on the risk and resilience portal, impact-based forecasting, a common alerting protocol, space applications, and new AI-based tools such as ChatGPT for flood mapping. These innovations are highly relevant for Nepal. We also welcome the proposal to strengthen regional platforms such as the Risk and Resilience Portal, the ESCAP Multi-Donor Trust Fund for Tsunami, and Disasters and Climate Preparedness, and the Regional Space Applications Program for Sustainable Development. Nepal encourages continued investment in these regional public goods. Nepal calls for greater support to least developed and landlocked developing mountainous countries. We need capacity building for forecasting, data interpretation, geospatial analysis, and AI-assisted tools. We need stronger cryosphere monitoring, glacial lake outburst flood risk assessment, and heat health early warning. We also seek support to expand last-mile communications in our rural and mountain areas. Nepal reaffirms its commitment to the early warning systems for all initiatives. We believe that science, technology, and regional cooperation can greatly reduce disaster losses and save lives. I thank you.
Thank you, Nepal. And we have Pakistan as the next speaker. Pakistan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to speak on behalf of the Chairman, National Disaster Management Authority, Pakistan. We are gathered at a time when the global disaster landscape is rapidly evolving. The climate vulnerabilities, they are intensifying, and the need for proactive, technology-driven resilience has never been greater. So for that, the Pakistan strategic intent is to strengthen the global disaster preparedness through collaborative expertise, advanced technology, and proactive architecture, and then also to localize and co-develop the innovative solutions for disaster risk reduction. And then to reinforce a United Nations vision of resilient capacity building and value-added response mechanism. During the Chairman NDMA's recent engagement with the UNSCAP leadership, Pakistan reaffirmed its commitment to supporting the United Nations disaster risk reduction and highlighted the urgent need for UNSCAP reset, the global donor fatigue, rising disaster frequency, and the widening gap between the needs and the available resources. It demands a shift from the reactive humanitarian responses to proactive, intelligence-led preparedness. So Pakistan proposes a practical framework. Number one is the Global Hazard Calendar and the Common Operating Picture, which is a unified platform drawing from the Pakistan National Emergencies Operations Center Global Hazards Mapping System, it providing the real-time risk intelligence and accurate risk calculators. And number two is strengthening the emergencies operation centers and quarterly global disaster early warning, which we also call it GDU. So Pakistan offers National Emergencies Operation Center as a United Nations hub for advanced emergency operation centers for the predictive simulation and the quarterly early warning. And then also, number three is the Global Institute of Disaster Management, which is a connected network of the global academia providing the best practices, research, and actionable disaster risk reduction knowledge. And number four is the broad spectrum risk communication, which is again a unified global messaging system with a dedicated global disaster alerts mobile app offered by Pakistan. And number five is the simulation exercises and the pre-coordinated logistics. So biannual global disaster simulation exercise under ESCAP built on Pakistan's comprehensive international simulation exercises model. And number six is the synergetic search and rescue, sustained relief and the social audits. For a coordinated search and rescue employment, the harmonized relief workflow and the national resilience audits. And lastly, the risk financing pools and the new global resource streams, which includes the regional financing pools and mobilization of the private sector, the diaspora, and the philanthropic support. So the expected outcome includes strengthened global disaster risk reduction capacities, enhanced collaboration, and also to access the Pakistan National Emergency Operations Center Technology Hub and generation of the sustainable resilience dividends. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pakistan, for your statement. I think with this we come to the end of the country's statement and the countries who have registered to deliver statement. But if there are countries here in the floor who are still interested to make statement, we give you a chance. I recognize Bangladesh. Bangladesh, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Bangladesh is one of the world's most climate vulnerable countries. Our deltaic geography exposes us to cyclones, floods, storm, river bank erosion, droughts, and extreme heat. Mr. Chair, Bangladesh have already expanded cyclone warning lead times, digitized flood forecasting, and reached millions of people through SMS alerts in partnership with the telecom operators. Our cyclone preparedness program, supported by 76,000 volunteers, remain a flagship model for the region. The changing climate demands a new generation of solution. Bangladesh strongly supports ESCAP's call to scale up science, technology, and innovation to strengthen all four pillars of multi-hazards early warning system. Mr. Chair, I would like to highlight 4 points. First of all, we emphasize the urgent need to integrate extreme heat into early warning frameworks. Recent heat waves in South Asia demonstrate that heat is no longer a silent killer, it is a major disaster risk. Bangladesh is developing heat health action plans and recognizes the importance of impact-based thresholds, cooling strategies, and better coordination between meteorological, health, and urban authorities. Second, Bangladesh welcomes the region's progress in applying satellite data and impact-based forecasting, including ESCAP's risk and resilience portal and innovations. For a deltaic and highly hydrological country like ours, such tools are invaluable for predicting the hotspots, supporting anticipatory actions, and managing rapid onset disasters. Third, we underscored the importance of regional cooperation, especially through the ESCAP panel on tropical cyclones, the regional integrated multi-hazard early warning system, and the ESCAP multi-donor trust fund for tsunami and disaster and climate preparedness. Bangladesh encourages further investment in these shared platforms, which are essential for the countries with high exposures and limited resources. Fourth, Bangladesh stresses that early warning must be translated into early action. Technology must be paired with community trust, local language communication, gender-responsive outreach, and disability-inclusive approaches. Strengthening local government capacities remains the last mile must be our first priority. Mr. Chair, Bangladesh stands ready to work closely with ESCAP and all other member states to accelerate the early warning for all initiative and to harness innovation for saving lives and livelihood. As we look forward to future of intensifying climate extremes, collective preparedness and technological cooperation will be key to safeguarding our shared development gain. Thank you.
Thank you, Bangladesh, for your statement. And are there any other countries who are interested to deliver statements? If there are no more country statements, I will now open the floor to international organizations. And I recognize UNRC Mongolia. UNRC Mongolia, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chair, and I'll speak on behalf of the United Nations in Mongolia. So Mongolia has made important strides in strengthening early warning capacities, particularly for zoot, a hazard that continues to shape rural resilience and national development. As partners, the United Nations sees strong opportunities to help Mongolia take the next steps towards a fully integrated, people-centered early warning system. A key development has been Mongolia's shift towards impact-based forecasting enabled by the UNDP and WMO-supported initiative. This transition is important because it recognizes that communities need to know not only what the weather will be, but what the weather will do. It lays the foundation for future early action mechanisms, including the potential for forecast-based financing. From a strategic perspective, Mongolia is well aligned with the Global Early Warnings for All initiative. To fully achieve this vision, we see several promising areas for joint collaboration. First, strengthening the institutional chain from national warnings to local preparedness, ensuring that each actor, from meteorologists to provincial authorities, has clear roles, protocols, and resources for early action. Second, improving that last line communication, especially for herders in remote areas who depend heavily on timely and clear information. The move to impact-based messages creates an opportunity to design user-friendly formats tailored to local needs. Third, enhancing interoperability between the meteorological systems, emergency response agencies, social protection mechanisms, and local planning processes. Linking these systems will ensure that early warnings lead to early coordinated action. Finally, there is considerable potential for regional cooperation on cold-related hazards, including through ESCAP. Mongolia's leadership in zoot risk monitoring can offer valuable lessons to other countries facing similar climate extremes. The United Nations remains committed to supporting the government of Mongolia in these areas through technical assistance, coordination support, and capacity building, so that the early warnings translate into timely and effective action for every community in Mongolia. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, UNRC Mongolia. And UNRC Lao is next. UNRC Lao PDR, you have the floor.
Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I speak on behalf of the UN Resident Coordinator in Lao PDR and the UN country team, as well as in support of the government of Lao PDR's national statement just delivered. Allow me to take this opportunity to reaffirm the request of the government of Lao PDR to ESCAP and partners for strengthening government capacities, systems, and knowledge to support the implementation of the Early Warnings for All Roadmap 2024 to 2027. The development of the EW for All roadmap has been closely and collaboratively supported by UN agencies. The four global pillar leads, UNDRR, WMO, ITU, and IFRC, along with the FAO, UNDP, WFP, and the World Bank, coordinated through the Office of the UN Resident Coordinator in the country. To ensure that the roadmap reflects the needs of communities, the government conducted a nationwide early warning systems perception survey. With support from UNDRR, WMO, WFP, the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center, under the Climate Risk and Early Warning Systems, or CRUISE initiative, the survey was conducted in September and October 2024 across 9 provinces, generating nearly 2,000 household interviews, along with focus group discussions and key informant interviews. Key findings of the survey revealed broadly good levels of trust in official information channels, with 53% identifying the Department of Hydrology and Meteorology in the Ministry of Agriculture and Environment as the most trusted source. Around 40% of communities preferred receiving alerts through loudspeakers and 23% through social media. Encouragingly, 92% of respondents reported that actions taken after receiving warnings helped reduce losses, highlighting the life-saving impact of timely alerts. But challenges remain, with 16% reporting limited technical knowledge and a smaller number reporting language barriers and inadequate tailored communication for vulnerable groups. As mentioned by the government of Lao PDR in the national statement, there is still a substantial funding gap, around $25 million, to support the implementation of the EW for All roadmap. There is some positive news. Just yesterday, on 26 November 2025, CRUISE 2.0 was launched in Vientiane with funding for both Lao PDR as well as Cambodia, with approximately $4.5 million for Lao PDR. Led by WMO with UNDRR and the World Bank and implemented with national stakeholders, CRUISE 2.0's priorities include scaling up impact-based forecasting, ensuring sustainable observation and open data sharing systems, expanding accessible multi-channel dissemination, and strengthening preparedness and anticipatory action through clear triggers and regular drills. More is needed, especially to strengthen risk knowledge, modernize hydromet systems, and expand inclusive last-mile dissemination. The United Nations is committed to support the implementation of EW for All in Lao PDR and welcomes partnerships to build on the solid foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, UNRC Lao PDR. And next we have EBSCO. EBSCO, you have the floor.
Chair, distinguished delegates, EBSCO is honored to participate in this session as an observer organization. We thank the Secretariat for the invitation and for the comprehensive report on the role of science, technology, and innovation in disaster resilience. As an intergovernmental organization, EBSCO is dedicated to strengthening regional cooperation and supporting member states in applying space-based solutions for disaster risk reduction. We recognize that initiatives like Call to Action on Extreme Heat and the Early Warning for All are ambitious and essential goals. To achieve them, countries need reliable, sustainable, and accessible resources. Share. EBSCO serves as a resource enabler. We provide space-based infrastructure, data sharing platforms, project opportunities, and specialized educational programs to help transform national commitments into operational capabilities. From our experience, we observe that capacity development alone is not enough. While capacity provides tools and training, capability ensures those tools can be applied, sustained, and improved independently. This is critical for reducing long-term vulnerability and ensuring resilience that grows from within the region. In this regard, EBSCO is advancing 3 key directions. Firstly, stronger professional networks. We are strengthening cooperation so experts can continuously collaborate during emergencies, not just during workshops. Secondly, accessible and applicable space-based data. We are expanding our data sharing service platform to ensure satellite-derived information supports early warning, drought, flood monitoring, and climate-related hazards across borders. Lastly, share operational mechanism. We are working with member states to establish a coordinated disaster response mechanism to enhance cooperation with when disasters strike. Distinguished delegates, the challenges we face do not recognize borders, and neither should the solutions. EBSCO stands committed to deepening cooperation with ESCAP, UN SPIDER, UNOSAT, and all regional partners. We welcome opportunities to ally our technical resources with the committee's work so that emerging innovations translate into safer and more resilient community. Shared. Thank you for the opportunity to share EBSCO's perspective. We look forward to continued collaboration in advancing regional disaster resilience. Thank you.
Thank you, EBSCO. And WMO is the next. WMO, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, colleagues, partners, on behalf of Professor Celeste Saulo, Secretary-General of WMO, it is a privilege to provide a statement before this committee. Extreme heat is no longer a distant threat. It is already here and is reshaping the risk landscape across Asia and the Pacific. The cascading impacts of heat on health, food, systems, energy and urban infrastructure are profound, amplifying vulnerabilities and eroding resilience. A recent report by WMO and the FAO warns that extreme heat threatens the livelihoods of an estimated 1.23 billion people. At the same time, extreme heat is one of least managed climate-related threats worldwide. Recognising this, COP30 saw the launch of an extreme heat risk governance framework and toolkit developed by the Global Heat Health Information Network, including WMO and UNDRR. It provides practical, evidence-based tools to help decision-makers measure and understand the root causes and drivers of heat risk and strengthen the governance systems needed to manage and adapt to its impacts. The UN Secretary-General's call to action on extreme heat urges us to move from reactive measures to system-wide proactive heat risk governance. This means embedding heat into disaster risk reduction strategies, health systems, and urban planning as part of transformative adaptation. For example, WMO and the WHO recently issued guidelines to protect workers from extreme heat. The Early Warnings for All initiative is pivotal in this context. Its 4 pillars provide the foundations for universal, multi-hazard coverage by 2027. Heat action plans can operationalise Early Warnings for All by combining meteorological triggers with health indicators, ensuring surge capacity in hospitals and inclusive cooling centres and social protection systems. WMO is proud to co-lead the Early Warnings for All initiative, focusing on Pillar 2, detection, observation, monitoring, analysis and forecasting, to close data gaps and improve forecasting through global observing and information systems operated by the National Meteorological and Hydrological Services of our members. WMO also supports Pillar 1, which is led by UNDRR, by recording and cataloguing hazardous events and linking losses and damages to these events. We also support Pillar 3, led by ITU, by promoting the Common Alerting Protocol, or CAP, to ensure consistent communication across various channels and partners. And under Pillar 4, led by IFRC, WMO works with partners to ensure warnings are actionable and trusted at the community level, and forecasts support humanitarian work and anticipatory action. WMO is supporting the development of Early Warnings for All national roadmaps, budgeted implementation plans, that guide governments and donors in their investments in early warning systems. We help vulnerable countries build capacities and secure funding through mechanisms such as the Systematic Observation Financing Facility, or SOF, and the Climate Risk and Early Warning Systems Initiative, CRUISE. WMO also leads the monitoring and evaluation efforts for the Early Warnings for All initiative, tracking progress through tools like the Early Warnings for All Maturity Index. Distinguished delegates, science and technology are our strongest allies. Advances in impact-based forecasting, AI and geospatial analytics now allow us to anticipate not just hazards, but their impacts, enabling targeted life-saving action. WMO, through its 193 members, provides the backbone for these capabilities, while platforms such as ESCAP's Risk and Resilience Portal help translate data into decisions and actions. WMO's partnership with ESCAP is central to this effort. Under our MOU, we are strengthening regional and national implementation of Early Warnings for All, advancing joint platforms such as the Typhoon Committee and the Panel on Tropical Cyclones, expanding cooperation to slow onset hazards such as drought, delivering annual regional State of the Climate reports, and organising climate outlook forums. This collaboration exemplifies the One UN approach by pooling expertise and resources. Colleagues, there is clear evidence that early warnings work. Disaster-related deaths are 6 times lower in countries with good coverage. We are making measurable progress, with over 60% of countries now reporting having multi-hazard early warning systems. But we must do more. We need to integrate locally calibrated hazard thresholds, link alerts to predefined actions, and ensure warnings reach everyone. International collaboration is essential. No country and no organisation can do this alone. Shared data, harmonised protocols and pooled resources will accelerate progress. Every dollar invested in early warnings can return at least 10 in avoided losses, including countless lives saved. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, WMO, for your statement. Are there any other international organizations that would like to make a statement? Okay, I recognize UN Habitat. UN Habitat, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, partners, and friends. On behalf of UN Habitat Executive Director, Madam Ana Claudia Rosbach, I extend my sincere appreciation to ESCAP and all the member states for their unwavering commitment to confronting the defining and interconnected crisis of our generation, climate change and disaster risk. And these are supercharged by intensifying deadly heat, as just my WMO colleague has mentioned. And that is what is making the Asia-Pacific region as ground zero. The region stands at the epicenter of perfect storm, a rapidly escalating disaster risk landscape combined with explosive urbanization and demographic growth. The numbers are clear and present danger. According to ESCAP report, last 2 years, over 140 disasters struck last year, affecting 64 million people and inflicting a staggering $60 billion in damages. Excellencies, the risk is compounding and catastrophic. Beyond frequency and the cost, the nature of threat is evolving, and we face cascading and compounding hazards, floods, droughts, storms, and crucially, two another amplifiers. One is extreme heat, is a silent killer. As my colleague just mentioned, it identified extreme heat as one of the fastest rising climate threats. Prolonged heat waves are not just discomfort, they're also eroding public health, crippling labor productivity, straining the energy grids, and deepening socio-economic inequality. The second one is the urban amplifier. We are considering cities as pressure cookers. The urban heat island effect is a deadly multiplier, making our urban centers several degrees hotter than surrounding areas and rural areas. Cities, therefore, are the crucible of both of greatest vulnerability and as well as its important and urgent opportunity to resolve. Hence, we appeal all the member states to invest in urban resilience as the highest yield intervention. Building climate-ready, shock-proof cities is not just a policy option, but a non-negotiable foundation for sustainable survival and development in our region. Excellencies, colleagues and friends, we are seeing a growing ecosystem of solutions. We just heard from many of my colleagues from the UN system and the civil society. And UN Habitat is at the core. We play a pivotal role in accelerating resilient, low-carbon, and inclusive urban transformation across Asia-Pacific. As we speak, just yesterday, 193 member states have approved our strategic plan for 2026 and 2029. It recognizes that the global housing crisis, coupled with urbanization and disaster risk, are fundamentally intertwined, especially in rapidly urbanizing Asia-Pacific region. Therefore, the primary focus that member states have requested us to be on integrating housing, urbanization, and slum transformation into DRR and climate resilience efforts, prioritizing proactive slum upgrading, ensuring resilient construction standards for the 1.1 billion people living in highly vulnerable informal settlements. Secondly, we have designated preparedness, response, recovery, and reconstruction as core impact area, second impact area, requiring us to embed disaster and climate risk data into integrated urban and territorial planning to prevent future exposure. And we consider investing in urban planning and design as preventive agenda. Furthermore, the principle of building back better. So finally, the success of these efforts hinges on leveraging data and digitalization for evidence-based DRR, urging us to utilize real-time urban data and vulnerability mapping, and to partner with many of our UN sister agencies to localize these multi-hazard early warning systems, ensuring they reach every last-mile community. Excellencies, finally, our collective work and these crucial partnerships underscore a single powerful mandate. Cities are not just at crossroads, they are the driving force of inclusive and transformative change. By aggressively empowering local leaders, mandating climate-smart infrastructure, and activating collective action through alliances like Global ABC and the Cool Coalition that we have established along with UNEP, we will not merely participate, we will lead the fundamental transformation of Asia and the Pacific into a region that is cooler, healthier,
May I
more
request
equitable,
distinguished
and
delegate to end your
fundamentally
statement, please?
sustainable for all. I thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, UN Habitat, for the statement. If there are any other organizations, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I see no more requests for the floor. I would like to thank you for these informative statements. At this juncture, I would invite delegations to consider the draft decision as contained in the document ESCAP/CDR 9/3. The draft decision reads as follows. The Committee on Disaster Risk Reduction acknowledges the importance of early warning systems in enabling anticipatory action for enhanced preparedness and disaster reduction. It requests the Secretariat to continue to strengthen regional platforms such as Risk and Resilience Portal, the ESCAP Multi-Donor Trust Fund for Tsunami, Disaster and Climate Preparedness and Regional Space Applications Program for Sustainable Development, with a view to supporting the early warnings for all initiative, including by scaling up the use of science, technology, and innovation. Would any delegation wish to intervene specifically on the text proposed? I recognize the delegation from United States of America. Delegation, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you to the Secretariat for preparing the decision for our consideration. The United States would like to enter just one edit, which is a deletion from regional platforms, starting at after regional platforms. So starting at such as the Risk and Resilience Portal, all the way through the early warnings for all initiative. Our hope is that we can arrive at a text that is consensus, continue all the way through through to the comma. United States hopes we can arrive at a consensus text, but unfortunately has concerns with a number of these programs and their links to climate change and sustainable development goals, which we no longer support. As such, we can support a text that does not mention these programs specifically, but I don't think should impact the work of the Secretariat as has been discussed today or outlined in the documents. Thank you.
Thank you, distinguished delegate of United States of America, for your intervention. And we have Japan next. You have the floor, delegation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'd like to request to change the verb strengthen to promote, because the value of the platforms is really how much more it's used. And we think that this really increases the value of the platform. So instead of strengthen, we think that a more concrete word. So delete strengthen and write promote. Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. Do we have any more comments? We have a delegate from India. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to clarify that my delegation would support the text as has been drafted. Thank you, including the mention of the platforms that are listed here. Thank you.
Thank you, India. Any more comments? To remain. Okay.
The other one is retaining.
Right.
You can ask.
Okay. So far, I think we have received two proposals. One is to alter and do as suggested by United States and Japan, and also to retain. The other one is to retain as drafted. Would other member states have any comments on that? India, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to further clarify what our position is, we can show flexibility and go with the edit proposed by the distinguished delegate of Japan to change strengthen to promote, though we have no problem with the verb as has been placed, but we have some reservations regarding deletion of the list. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? China, you have the floor.
China want to echo the comments from India to remain the platforms as listed in the draft originally. Thank you.
Thank you, China. Any others? We notice delegations consulting amongst each other, so we will still wait for a few more minutes. And we notice Sri Lanka, now we recognize Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sri Lanka, we align ourselves with the comments expressed by our distinguished delegate from India. Thank you.
Thank you, Sri Lanka. All right, looks like there are no more comments from the member states. So we would like to give the floor to WMO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for giving me the floor. I realise this is an exception as WMO is not a committee member per se, but we are a pillar of the Early Warnings for All initiative. So I'm just seeking clarification from the Secretariat and also referring back to some of the member countries' positions. By removing the Early Warnings for All initiative from this, this decision, the draft decision, I wonder if it's now incongruous with the ESCAP's decision made at its session, I think it was the 79th session, to adopt a regional strategy for implementing Early Warnings for All. The other thing I'd just like to point out is that the WMO members, 193 members, decided at its Congress to adopt Early Warnings for All, so there's just another inconsistency. Also just checking back with the representatives from China, I thought they said that they wanted to retain the text that was proposed to be deleted by the US delegation, so maybe they could confirm. And finally, just as maybe a point of order or just a grammatical thing, if the text remains deleted, then we need to look at the sentence in its entirety, requesting Secretariat to continue to promote regional platforms, and then it's no longer connected to the last statement, which is included by scaling up. So it would probably need to be changed to maybe and, or something like that, and scaling up the use of science, as they're two quite separate points. So thank you. Just a few clarifications, seeking to understand the committee members' position more clearly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, WMO, for those comments. Are there any more comments from the member states? United States, you have the floor.
Just to clarify, the United States has a firm position on this deletion if we're to join consensus on the document. I think I would seek clarification from the Secretariat as to how these changes would impact its work. Proposed changes, excuse me.
Any other comments? Looks like there are no more comments from the floor, so at this point of time, I would like to ask the Secretary to take over and respond to some of the queries that were made. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. And I think there was one query to the Secretariat expressed by the distinguished representative from the United States on how the deletion would affect the work of the Secretariat. It wouldn't affect the work of the Secretariat per se, because you know, we have ESCAP resolutions, we have decisions that were made at the 8th session. So, you know, the work continues. But in terms of, you know, our preference for organizing our work from the Secretariat perspective, the clearer and the more specific the decision we get out of the committee, the better it is for our planning, for our for the predictability of our work, for the transparency with our member states, and for organizing our human and financial resources around concrete platforms and initiatives. So our preference is for more focus rather than less. But of course, we are in the hands of our member states, our members and associate members, and so we will go by the final decisions of the Committee on DRR. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we still ask for comments? Do we still ask for comments?
Yes, you can ask for comments.
If there are any other comments, I recognize Iran. Iran, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Given the further explanation provided by Secretariat, especially on transparency, we support keeping the draft text. So please put your name after Sri Lanka. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, distinguished delegates, for your constructive comments. I see there are no further comments. I would then request the Secretary to include the text of this draft decision in the draft report to be considered on Friday for its adoption. Thank you. So now I would now call on the Secretary to make an announcement.
Thank you, Chair. And indeed, we will be including the text as you see it on screen in the draft report for further deliberation during the further deliberation discussions during the adoption of the report on Friday. I understand as well, you know, some members and associate members may need to revert back to capital, so I think we should give everyone a little bit of time to digest. And I think I see a lot of nodding around the room. So just to confirm, we will have the text as it currently stands reflected in the draft report on Friday. Okay, so Chair, with those comments, then Russian Federation.
Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify, we understand the concerns of the United States, but still, if we leave the text as it is now, like just mentioning regional platforms, we believe that in this case, this text lacks clarification. So we definitely need to understand which regional platform we mean here. And I believe that we need to clarify in any suitable form what exactly do we mean here. So this is important for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we will now move.
Okay, I think with this we come to the end of our discussion on agenda item 3, and we now move on to agenda 4. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, we shall now take up agenda 4, overview of the work of the Secretariat and entities of the United Nations System on Disaster Risk Reduction in Asia and the Pacific. The document pertaining to this agenda item is ESCAP/CDR9/4. Overview of the work of the Secretariat and the entities of the United Nations System on Disaster Risk Reduction at the regional level. The committee's consideration of this agenda item will begin with a statement from the Secretariat, followed by a statement by a representative from the issue-based coalition on building resilience. The coalition coordination agencies of the United Nations across 4 work streams to enhance disaster risk reduction, climate change adaptation, and resilience in Asia-Pacific. Finally, the floor will be open for intervention. Secretariat, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. Under this agenda item, I would like to present a brief overview of the Secretariat's work on disaster risk reduction at the regional level, outlining the progress we have made together with our partners, UN partners, in advancing disaster risk reduction across Asia and the Pacific. And it's structured around our 4 strategic work streams as contained in document ESCAP/CDR9/4. So first on multi-hazard early warning systems and aiming for early warnings for all in line with the Global Executive Action Plan. The Secretariat has made progress in developing impact-based forecasting tools, and we have operationalized these tools in several countries. The tools integrate climate forecasts with socio-economic data. They enable the identification of risk hotspots across a whole range of disasters, notably those linked to floods, desertification, sand and dust storms, and this has been highlighted throughout our Asia-Pacific Disaster Report, the 2025 edition, as well as the document in front of you. Second, under disaster-related data and statistics, we have expanded access to geospatial tools and Earth observation data, and the Risk and Resilience Portal remains a central platform for integrating geospatial data and providing climate projections and vulnerability analytics. We've worked with several countries, notably, Chair, your country, Bhutan, in building country-specific, country-level portals as pilots of the Regional Risk and Resilience Portal. A third, in the area of technology, innovation, and applications, the Secretariat has launched several e-learning courses and developed AI-powered tools such as SAT-GPT for flood risk mapping. This is just the beginning. We plan to expand into other areas of hazards and disasters. I think our next interventions are going to be related to forest fires, but we will be expanding into other areas as well. We've also conducted a number of capacity building efforts targeting various groups such as professional officers from governments, researchers, and the youth. Youth being a key stakeholder of these activities in recent years. It's important to foster the next generation of disaster experts and leaders. Fourth is knowledge for policy, and in 2024, we developed the sub-regional disaster risk reports based on a deep dive of the findings in 2023. And so in 2026, we are going to do a deep dive at the sub-regional level of the findings that were presented in the 2025 edition. And then through our regional institute, the Asia and Pacific Center for the Development of Disaster Information Management, UPDIM. UPDIM has contributed to strengthening risk data governance, promoting science-based solutions, and advancing regional cooperation, particularly in addressing sand and dust storms and supporting transboundary resilience strategies. The document also highlights the collaborative work of the United Nations system under the issue-based coalition on building resilience. And Chair, I'm very pleased to inform that my statement will be followed by that of Diana Kaye. She's currently the officer in charge of the regional office of UNDRR, and UNDRR together with UNDP serve as the co-chairs of the issue-based coalition on resilience. So this is a coalition of UN partners that meet from time to time to coordinate their work. So we're very much looking forward to hearing about this work. And in closing, Chair, the committee is invited to take note of these activities and to provide any guidance on its future directions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretary, for your statement. Now I would like to call Ms. Diana Mosquera-Cal. Did I get your name right? Sorry about that. Who is the co-chair of the issue-based coalition on resilience to deliver your statement. Ms. Diana, you have the floor.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, Chair, on behalf of the co-chairs of the issues-based coalition on building resilience, UNDP and UNDRR, it is my pleasure to present a short overview of some of the key activities that are being conducted. The issues-based coalition on building resilience has been an effective vehicle for enabling collaboration across UN agencies so that expertise, networks, and areas of work can be leveraged together with UNCTs to better support countries in the Asia-Pacific region. I'm just going to mention some of these key activities. We have heard that across the region, the UN system has been supporting the implementation of the Early Warning for All initiative. The national roadmap in Cambodia has been launched recently, and it's about to be finalized in Bangladesh, and this has been the result of a multi-agency collaboration together also with NGOs, the Red Cross movement, and civil society. In Lao PDR, the roadmap was launched last year, and this year interagency collaboration has been focusing on establishing the technical working group for the implementation of the roadmap and its monitoring. In the Pacific, we are pleased to share with you that the Early Warning for All national roadmaps are close to being finalized across the 5 target countries, namely Fiji, Kiribati, Samoa, Tonga, and Solomon Islands. The pillar leads, WMO, UNDRR, ITU, and IFRC, work very closely with other agencies and the whole system, such as WFP, FAO, ESCAP, and others for the implementation of the initiative. The new collaboration between UNDP, ESCAP, and UNESCO IOC through the IBC Resilience is also a strong example of how UN agencies work together to strengthen tsunami early warning systems for education and enhance linkages between science, policy, the education sector, and communities. ESCAP, through its regional convening power and the Tsunami Trust Fund, has been working across the region to support countries in strengthening tsunami early warning capacities. UNESCO IOC provides scientific and technical expertise on tsunami warning systems and coordinates the intergovernmental coordination groups for Indian tsunami and Pacific Ocean. And UNDP, through its regional tsunami project with support from the government of Japan, has supported nearly 800 schools in 20 countries to conduct tsunami drills and other education programs. It has been broadly mentioned the importance of risk information for our work in disaster risk reduction, and critical information is very much needed now that climate change is intensifying the behavior of different phenomena, and interagency collaboration is essential to enhance risk information. In Bhutan, UNDP and ESCAP, through the IBC Resilience, jointly supported updating climate projections based on the latest downscale climate projection data. These updated climate projections will be integrated in the country 13 5-year plan and will be used for updating the national adaptation plan. UNDRR, UNDP, and WMO continue their collaboration for the development of the Delta Resilience System, which is a comprehensive open source software tool designed for tracking disaster losses and damages. It has been conceived to support national disaster tracking systems by monitoring hazardous events and recording losses at both national and subnational levels. Work has been initiated to lay the foundation for the rollout of the new system in Kiribati, Maldives, Lao PDR, and Cambodia, and we are in conversations, of course, with other countries. It is also important to mention the Asia-Pacific Adaptation Network Forum led by UNEP, which has provided important spaces to discuss the advancement of the implementations of NAPS, and recently also the discussion on a framework to assess disaster and climate-related losses in biodiversity and ecosystem services, which is an effort also from UNEP, UNDRR, and University. Gender responsive and disability inclusive DRR are also an important area of collaboration from the IBC Resilience. As an example, UNDRR, UNFPA, and UN Women have joined forces for the implementation of the recently launched Sendai Gender Action Plan in Asia Pacific. This includes support for the integration of Sendai gaps concerned in different strategic documents, the analysis of gender gaps in some of the DRR actions, and also including elements of social inclusion and gender-based violence into anticipatory actions frameworks. This is just to mention some of the activities, just to highlight that interagency collaboration is critical for achieve results and advance disaster risk reduction, and the IBC Resilience is an important platform to continue facilitating this interagency exchange of experiences and collaboration, especially now in the last 5 years of the implementation of the Sendai framework. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Diana, for that very comprehensive update. We shall now proceed to the country statements for agenda item 4. I would like to urge all speakers to adhere to the time limit of 3 minutes to ensure we can hear from all those participating. I also would like to remind delegations that in case of a longer statement, you may provide the Secretariat with the full statement for sharing through the committee website. I now open the floor for country statements, and I recognize Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Chairman, distinguished delegates, Sri Lanka appreciates the Secretariat's presentation under agenda item 4, which provides a comprehensive overview of regional work streams in multi-hazard early warning systems, data and statistics, technology innovation, and knowledge for policy. With your permission, I will deliver my intervention in 2 parts. First, on behalf of Sri Lanka, and second, in my capacity as co-chair of the 29th session of the Intergovernmental Consultative Committee on the Regional Space Applications Program, ESCAP. Part 1. While endorsing the broad range of initiatives outlined in the Secretariat's report, Sri Lanka wishes to highlight its ongoing collaboration with ESCAP on SAT-GPT, an innovative AI-assisted tool for rapid flood mapping. Following the initial introductory sessions for the Department of Irrigation, Sri Lanka will host an in-depth residential training program in December, bringing together officers of the Irrigation Department, which is the mandated agency for floods, and the National Building Research Organization, the agency mandated for landslides, and the Department of Meteorology. This program will further strengthen national capacities in satellite-based analytics for flood risk assessment. Moving on to part 2, Mr. Chairman, as the co-chair of the 29th session of the Intergovernmental Consultative Committee, ICC 29, on the Regional Space Applications Program for Sustainable Development, RESAP, I am pleased to brief the committee on its outcomes. The session was held in Seoul in September 2025 and hosted by the Korea Aerospace Administration, KASA. Mr. Chairman, ICC 29 reaffirmed the central importance of regional cooperation in advancing space applications for sustainable development, the progress achieved by member states in implementing the Asia-Pacific Plan of Action 2018-2030 and the Jakarta Ministerial Declaration, including strengthened policy frameworks and wider uptake of geospatial technologies and their applications, the importance of leveraging digital innovations, including AI, to integrate satellite-derived and sectoral data for multi-hazard early warning, the growing demand for national space policies and coherent space ecosystems to enable the effective harnessing of space applications, the need for ESCAP to continue developing innovative tools such as SAT-GPT, enhance data sharing platforms, build capacity, and strengthen coordination between geospatial data providers and users. Mr. Chairman, Sri Lanka underscores that RESAP remains the dedicated regional space applications program and continues to be a decisive enabler of geospatial and digital innovation for disaster risk reduction across Asia and the Pacific. Sri Lanka stands ready to continue working closely with the Secretariat and member states to advance this important agenda. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Sri Lanka. And next we have Indonesia. Indonesia, you have the floor.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, Indonesia sees agenda item 4 as an opportunity to connect the strong regional work of ESCAP and the UN system with what we are implementing at home, We welcome the 4 work systems on multi-hazard early warning system, data and statistics, technology innovations, and knowledge for policy, as well as the outcomes of the Asia-Pacific Plan of Action on Space Applications and the Jakarta Ministerial Declarations, which have generated hundreds of geospatial good practices and follow-up actions. For Indonesia, these efforts matter as extreme events become more frequent and slow onset hazard more visible. Nationally, our work is grounded in the Disaster Management Law number 24 of 2007, related regulations, and supported by a strong planning mandate from the Ministry of National Development Planning, which mandates a comprehensive disaster risk reduction system. Our key challenge today is that risks are increasingly cascading and transboundary, cutting across sectors such as health, energy, and agriculture, and in some cases across borders. This means climate change adaptations and disaster risk reduction must be addressed as one coherent framework, not in separate silos. In response, Indonesia, with support from the ESCAP and partners, is leveraging satellite technology and geospatial data through pilot projects, workshops, and capacity building from 2023 to 2025 as part of our implementation of the Jakarta Ministerial Declarations. Guided by the Bali Agenda for Resilience and our vision of sustainable resilience, we also promote full integration of adaptation and disaster risk reduction into development planning. We see value in a strategic approach built around 4 governance pillars. First, integrated and holistic governance to ensure strong coordination across levels and sectors. Second, data and science-driven governance through investment in geospatial systems and real-time risk modeling for more accurate early warnings. Third, inclusive governance and empowered local leadership, so that resources are decentralized and local knowledge informs decisions. Fourth, smart financing to shift investment from reactive response to proactive adaptations, including renewable energy and nature-based solutions. Regionally, Indonesia supports the Asia-Pacific Plan of Action on the Space Application to strengthen disaster data governance so that national systems and regional platforms can evolve together. We also serve as an UN SPIDER Regional Support Office, contributing to space-based disaster management globally. Looking ahead, we encourage ESCAP and the issue-based coalition on building resilience to prioritize support for integrating climate adaptation and disaster risk reduction institutionally, and to provide stronger technical assistance for modeling complex, slow onset, and transboundary risk that capture long-term economic, social, and environmental interlinkages. Finally, Indonesia would appreciate clarification from the Secretariat on how the future work plan of this committee, including its 10th session in 2027, will be coordinated with the Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction in Japan, and whether these processes will be scheduled in close sequence or back-to-back to maximize synergies and minimize duplication. Thank you.
Thank you, Indonesia. And with this, we come to the end of our morning's proceedings. At this moment, I give the floor to the Secretariat for an announcement.
Thank you, Chair. Just to inform everyone that as mandated by the Commission, the Secretariat provides delegations with the opportunity to assess the results and quality of the session through a feedback questionnaire. So we'd like to request each participant to complete a brief online survey through the link available on the committee webpage under the Overview tab. You can also scan the link to the survey from the QR code on screen. And additionally, we have also prepared hard copies of the questionnaire. Hard copies are always my most preferred way of answering surveys. And it will be put at your seats over the course of lunchtime. So when you return to the meeting for the resumption of our discussions on agenda item 4, we still have at least 3 members that have requested for the floor under item 4. Then you can also complete the questionnaire, and you can place it in the box that has been made available at the exit. So those are the various modalities for completing the questionnaire, either electronically or in hard copy, and then placing it in the box at the exit of this room. So thank you very much to everyone. And Chair, we will be resuming the deliberations on item 4 at 3 p.m. This afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretariat. On this note, I adjourn this meeting. And as announced by the Secretariat, we shall reconvene in the afternoon at 3 p.m. to continue with the remaining parts of Agenda 4 and Agenda 5. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.